What's up guys, this is Cher talking, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm here to talk you about the information about the second Halloween banner that happens on August. The one that brings Apollo, Esper Gal, and Arsenal. And I have to say, they did some interesting buffs to these characters. And one last thing, we now know that the next Remembrance battle will happen on today's reset. So stay tuned, try to bring your characters trained, and the strategy here is for poison. I made a video recently, so check that one out. So we'll be moving to Reddit, and before I even talk about the second banner, let's talk a little more about Creator from the first preview, that we didn't know what the frightening ailment was. Now we do. Well, you will apply this ailment in the enemy, and once the enemy attacks in an action, it will receive an attack down effect. So I don't know if that will last for 2 turns, but attack down stacks. If your enemy attacks multiple times in a turn, well, there are some bosses with quadruple strike attacks. They will hit 4 times. Each hit will be applying attack down. So this can be very nice depending on the fight. Can be game breaking, but it's not as good as we thought. If it was just like Sundred that you apply on the enemy and then you keep hitting with characters like Leon or multi-hit attackers like Silver, it will be much better because we will have control. Now it will depend on the boss behavior. Okay, so let's talk about the new banner. Once again, thanks so much Hands43 for talking about everything here on Reddit. A Spell Girl has a buff to her intelligence, and that's it. Well, she has the same passives as JP. She gets 20% damage increase at all times when attacking with heat attacks, recovers 2 BP, and also reduces damage taken by 25%. Then, the second one, she grants herself a damage block for 1 time and 1 turn, just like Melissa. She also recovers 1 BP, and she has a 50% chance to chase with telekinesis. This is a single target attack with Hidden Shadow that recovers HP by a very small effect. That should be around 220 on today's standards. So, she gets 6 BP per turn. Yeah, and with Telekinesis Chase, she can be used as a full healer if you inherit the Telekinesis from her UDX style. But I guess we already have better healers. She actually wants to offer something else. The third passive gives her a 30% damage increase at all times, and then 20% when attacking weak targets. So she has 70% damage increase. That's good enough. She can use it for damage. She blocks 1 hit, has 6 PP per turn, and a chance to follow up with telekinesis. Then skill number 1 is a random attack with Hidden Shadow. This is Wind from Bertrand. It's an amplified. Then skill number 2 is awesome. For 8 BP you have a triple S attack with 66 mod. This is very high, one of the highest ones for triple S mod. And when the attack lands, she will cleanse all attribute buffs from the target. That is buff break, something that we use with Dark Wash, Rising Nova Plus, and also it will debuff all status by 15%. Remember the latest version of Rock Bouquet for Anniversary? Yeah, she does the same. She uses 7 BP, has a similar BP generation, but she also applies attack down. In the latest fight against Time Lord, we need both debuffs and buff breaks in order to survive well against ailments. So she has the whole kit. Very interesting thing in a character with a very good BP generation. And then the third skill is a full AoE attack with 8 power Hidden Shadow, made most for farming or Final Island. Nothing too special. She's a bosser and you will be using her for skill number 2. Then the next character, Arsenal. They buffed Arsenal, Endurance, and Will because you are only using Arsenal in boss fights anyway, so that makes sense. There's no big focus here. You have even value for Dexterity and Intelligence as well, a little lower agility. So this character will cleanse from all ailments on the end of a turn and also gets 1 BP and starts the fight with 12. Starts the fight with 12 because his best attack uses 12. He has Iron Wall Defense 6 to decrease damage taken by 40% at all times, and also High Protect Tension to decrease damage taken by 30% and damage potential by 20. Well, he doesn't need to do damage, but skill number 1 is a B power attack with blunt and shadow damage that when the attack lands, decreases the target will. It does not rely on intelligence. Just remember that. And the buff wills by 15% on max level. The chance is small to poison, but the intelligence is okay for most times. He will be used in remembrance, and that intelligence is good enough there. Or some very special challenges where you don't have anyone else to poison. He just does the thing on the same time. Both debuffing will and applying poison. It seems like he will debuff will first, so your chance of inflicting poison will increase. Then the second skill is now an AoE attack. This one can be found on Mac Platinum style. It's a AoE attack with paralyzed chance, small chance, and well, paralyze use it against Rio Queen, maybe in the future when we get to stage number 25. The skill itself does not do much damage, it's just for the ailment. The third one is a very impressive skill. For 12 VP, you attack randomly 4 times. There's just one target. That is good because it will be 4 hits, and when the attack lands, it will debuff will by up to 15% and also try to apply poison. This reminds me a little of Elicit, but it's a guarantee for hits, and the buffing will is amazing because that will equal 60% will debuff. You can use Arsenal now for any type of strategy where you want to inflict a certain type of ailment and even break some rules in some boss fights. Like for example against Kazinsi. When we get stage 25, there is a particular turn where Kazinsi loses lots of will. You can just break the rules and try to debuff will on turn 1 and stun Kazinsi forever. I don't know if that will work on stage 25, but it's something interesting that will work in some challenges. So the character itself does not do damage, just here for some gimmicks. And since we need poison on the next remembrance, it's a bait for you to summon, but I do believe for those that have Leon T260G will be able to do it without having to rely on Arsenal, but we'll see, I don't know. The last one is Apollo, and they buffed his endurance, now 72%, still a little bad, but better than before. Intelligence was buffed to 120%, it's good because he's a nuker, and will is very high, agility not so good, but okay for current game. As for passives, they are kinda all over the place. The first one, on the start of a turn, 25% chance to trigger 1 BP to the party and also grant a defense boost that decreases damage taken by 20%, lasts for 1 turn to all surviving allies. The defense boost part is not reliable, so you will not be planning about this, and on average you'll be getting 1 BP to the party every 4 turns, so it could be much better. I prefer stuff that is guaranteed so you can plan ahead. The second one, on the start of a turn, he grants himself a morale up and guard up of small values. Morale up small is 15%, guard up small is 12%. So if you're using him with Tank Gustav that uses less paint, you will lose these buffs because Gustav buff is much higher. Morale up increases by 40% and guard up by 25%, overriding the values of Apollo. It would be much better if it was just a defense and attack boost, but he also recovers 2 BP with the same passive, so that makes sense. Some passives give you 2 BP by the end of a turn and 1 BP on the start of a battle, and he does not need 11 BP to start, so it's okay. The third one, on the start of a turn, he gets a 20% intelligence buff and grants himself a defense boost that decreases damage taken by 30%, lasts for 1 turn. It's pretty similar to Bertrand in the past, and it's a very good passive because it will stack intelligence and he will just scale so well by using buffs. Now for skills, the first one is recovery and will revive as well if needed, and grants stealth to a target for medium fact 4 turns, and that's it. Because this is not a spell per se, it will recover a lot of HP, getting someone from 0 to max depending on the power of the weapon. I mean, if it's double S power, it will heal even more. Skill number 2 is a single target attack. For 5 EP you get hit and shadow damage, and you also buff the will of all surviving allies by up to 25% on max level. And remember, this is skill because this is important. The third one is a 10 BP support, fast, that can be used 4 times in battle. That will grant evasion for 1 turn, so you will not take any damage or ailment, and will give him a hit up, increasing his damage potential by 20% for the whole fight, and will also grant him a great attack malicious pumpkin. This is the same skill as this one. This will only trigger on overdrive from what we saw, and it's permanent in battle. So it's interesting. Let's say, well, you start the fight with MVP, right? So you're gonna use this and get 1 stack of Malicious Pumpkin. And then you're gonna use that again on turn 3, on turn 5, and then maybe on turn 7. That's how you use all stacks without any help from outside sources. If you have Witch's Daughter, it will be very nice to give BP to him directly, or to just use someone else in a combo like Bertrand that will keep using Blooming Fireworks and getting more BP to the party. So to decrease the amount of time that takes to fully charge Apollo, because he still needs to reach overdrive in order to use all stacks, but by turn 7 you probably already did at least 2 overdrives. Well, when you get to overdrive, you will chase your attack with the second skill. One thing to consider, because this is used on rank 1, will buff will be of 15% only. But once you get all stacks, you will get 25% from the skill that you just use it. You'll be using this on overdrive, it's the only skill that he has that deals damage. And then 4 stacks of 15%. So 5 attacks with 8 power and 5 buffs that will totalize 85 will buff to the party. That's a very big value, right? But it takes time to build up. He is not your main will buffer because of that, but I can say that he can be used in some very nice situations if you have people that have good buffs on the start of the fight, but then the cost is a little high and they will decrease the cycles. That means that someone can take their place in the future, and that can be Apollo. And his damage is gonna be good because 8 power 5 times is good damage. Remember that Leon has deep power with his chases, and this guy buffs his own intelligence. After 4 turns he will be on full potential of intelligence buffs, and he will also grant himself 80% damage increase by the heat ups. So it's a nice setup. The problem here is the VP cost. That's how they balanced this idea here. But he will get pretty close to Leon potential, but it can be even slower than Leon to, well, become what he needs to be. So it's interesting because of that wheel buff effect, but if you think about just the raw damage, it would not be important because we'll probably get other characters that don't need that build up. The good thing is that Heat and Shadow are not exactly categories where he will find competition, because the really strong nukers we have in the game right now don't use those 2 elements. People can say Bertrand and Global X Rouge, but I have to say that they, although strong, rely too much on RNG. So he will have a placement. And if you want to bring Blue, Blue cannot buff his damage because he's not a spellcaster, but you can use skill 1 with UDX Blue to just keep buffing intelligence if you want, or just choose a tertiary mage in your party to buff with Blue, and then after turn 4 and beyond start using intelligence buffs so that everyone does good damage together. But, well, this character here will receive a triple S grade. Apollo is very good. Spellgirl may receive a triple S grade as well because of that skill being amazing, having lots of effects on a character with good BP generation, and Arsenal is just a standard SS character that just exists for very specific purposes. But if you can take advantage of the 4 hits with Will debuff, then you will be able to land ailments pretty easily. So I will still decide upon the final grades. This review will come tomorrow, so please stay tuned. And this is my opinions. What is yours? Please see here in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching this, and I hope to see you soon in the next video or next live stream. Bye.